All right, good evening, everybody. It is the Last Call Sports Show with Joe Ryan. How you doing tonight on a Monday night, the 7th of July, as we get ready to talk to you a little bit about the world of sports around here. Basically, the big subject of the weekend around here has been the seeming collapse of the Yankees and what's been going on in the Bronx. They did pull themselves out and get a win yesterday against the Mets, so they didn't get swept. But all in all, the Yankees have not looked good for a while now, over a month now. They've gone from having a comfortable lead to being 3 games behind the Toronto Blue Jays. And during it all, of course, the questions that come out and never come out until there's problems. This is the way we are in sports. But of course, it's Aaron Boone. Of course, it's Brian Cashman. I'm going to get into each one of these people. It is the Yankees. It's the Yankees have been doing this for at least the last, I'm going to say, 20 something years, since Brian Cashman really took over the team. He started in 1998. He's been there for 27 years. But really, the first few years, he had a team that was put together for him by Stick Michael and by Bob Watson. He didn't have to do really any heavy lifting. I mean, you give him credit for bringing in Ambrosius to man up third base, but Tino was there. Knobloch was there when he first took over. Jeter was there. O'Neill was there. Bernie Williams was there. Posada was there. Uh, Cone, Pettit. I mean, go on and on and on. Yeah, and then he went out and made some high level purchases and brought in, a Giambi, got rid of Tino, brought in Giambi, brought in Clemens, got rid of Wells, went out and got A Rod for Soriano. But if you think about it, even though they make the playoffs every year, and highly you would slap them on the back for that, they still spend over $200 million in payroll and are ruled by analytics supposedly. Um, they're one of the teams, and I know everybody's going to tell me every team is a slave to analytics now, but analytics was developed as a weapon for teams like the A's and the low cash teams to compete with the Yankees and the Red Sox. That's what took over. If you ever saw Moneyball or read Moneyball, supposedly it was Billy Bean's response to the fact that he could not maintain his talent anymore. So he went out and he came up with these mathematical guys who could come up with a way where he could, in a way, reinvent baseball. And to a point, it has to a point, but I don't know if it's reinvented it for the better. Really, when you look at the injuries to pitchers, when you look at the batting average, which are declining like crazy, and the skill level of the hitters now, I don't really believe the analytics is a good thing for baseball overall. Is it a tool? Sure. Can you get something out of it? Yeah. In over 162 games, does it work mathematically? Most probability and statistics that are brought into any equation will work the more you do it. It's in a short sample size, like the playoffs, like the World Series, where you see the Yankees suffer because you don't have time. You don't have time for the numbers to work out for you. So I've always been a big guy against just the analytics. I just think it's, like I said, the Yankees don't need analytics. They can afford the talent. So why is he taking this path? And there's a critique. I brought this up, and I'm going to put it on the screen now. Um, that was up last week, where the culture. This is a guy who's on the fan said the culture they have developed with these Yankees is soft, where these guys are not fighting. They fostered a mentality where the Yankees were good, and they're not. And that reflects really on Boone, who came out of Toronto supposedly telling his team that he still thinks they're the best team in baseball, even though they had not been that for the entire month of June. And he's a feel good guy. He's always trying to fight for his team like he is in this picture, making a fool of himself, but that's okay. He always tries to see the bright side in the Yankees, no matter what is going on. And even this weekend I was listening. They had Susan Waldman on, um, for the Subway Series, and even she was kind of attacking the Yankee mantra where they used to say, winning is like breathing. That's what George Steinbrenner used to tell people. Winning is like breathing. Nothing matters to us but winning World Series. If we're not winning World Series, we don't want to. We're just not getting it done, and that's not acceptable. But in the last 16 years, making the playoffs, according to Hal Steinbrenner and Brian Cashman, should be enough. That making the playoffs every year and having a chance should be enough. And that's goes against what these guys have been preaching for years. And if it's not that mantra anymore, then they should stop saying it, because it's just bad advertising and it makes them look foolish. But this team this year and what's coming around, besides injuries, besides losing Cole for the year, now losing Clark Schmidt for the year, besides Giancarlo Stanton not being available for the first 2 months of the season, they were doing well, but they were doing it mostly smoke and mirrors. And I got to get into, you see Goldschmidt, yeah, he's a good defensive addition at first base, but he wasn't going to hit 340 for the year. So you went out and got yourself a 37-year-old first baseman when you have young, talented guys like Ben Rice, who maybe you could be developing to be your first baseman for the next 10 years. When you look at second base, you got DJ LeMay, who came off the injured reserve, and you move Jazz Chisholm to third base. They haven't had a third baseman since like 2019. They haven't had a real good, when they had Gio or Urshela. That was the last time they had a real full-time third baseman. And instead, you take your best second baseman, you put him on third, and you take a fading second baseman, you start him, and just like the guy he's playing next to, he's in the mid. Together, I think they add up to 73 years old, and you're trying to compete. And you know, you can see Anthony Volpe has become a big whipping boy of the New York media. A lot of it because it deserved. He has not been playing well, but the fact of the matter is you know, you you saw in his first year, he strikes out a lot. He's not going to ever be anything more than a 230, 240 hitter with a little bit of pop. And instead of maybe sending him down and giving him more time to become the player they want him to be, they've kept him up here. And it seems like it's only getting worse. His habits are getting worse, and he's become defensive. And that's going to be hard to work with. You think about when Cashman stood behind Gary Sanchez for all those years. Everybody was saying Sanchez is fading. Sanchez's defense is terrible. Sanchez needs to be moved or something, and yet he stuck by him. And eventually, Gary Sanchez became somebody they had to give away for crap, and has never been the same player he was in his first year and a half when he made it up to the major leagues. I mean, it's it's just crazy the way the Brian Cashman has been allowed to run the Yankees for 27 years. I mean, you can't even vote him out. I mean, Hal he doesn't even he doesn't even pretend. Hal doesn't even pretend to look around and see if there's anybody who could come in with maybe some new ideas, a new vision of what the Yankees should be, and get things going in the right direction. It's about time the Yankees stopped trying to do the same thing over and over and over again and not getting anywhere with this. And I don't think it's ever going to be changed with Brian Cashman. I think that's your biggest responsibility is Brian Cashman. And right now, you're kind of wasting Aaron Judge's best years because you refuse to do things in a different manner. The minor league system has never been great under Cashman. In fact, Aaron Judge is the only great player that's ever produced. If you look at it, Brett Gardner is the next one in line for if you think about longevity of being a Yankee. Those are the two longtime Yankees that have been produced by the farm system. His pitching staffs always to tell you they're going to have one of the best bullpens in baseball. But by the middle of the season, the way Cashman has designed it and the way Boone coaches it, they burned out their bullpen, and their bullpen spends most of their time on injured reserve. Their starting staffs, yeah, you got Garrett Cole and you got a lot of mileage out of him. Rodon seems to be coming back to getting his bad habits again. Freed has been great this year, but all you did was you replace Cole and that one constant starter with Freed, one constant starter. Cashman has gotten away or gotten along here, and when he first came in, he earned this reputation as being this bright, young general manager. No, what he had was a team that had been assembled for him, and he didn't F it up for the first 3 years. But since then, it's a team that is always, always overvalued, and always, when it comes to the playoffs, they're going to fail. So I know everybody's looking for him to make some big moves at the deadline. Who's he going to give up? Is he going to give up Lombard? Is he going to give up Jones? Is he going to do what? Is he going to tear down his minor league system? Maybe give up a Ben Rice to bring back a pitcher? Or is he going to stay the course, maybe get some experience and straighten out these young players, so maybe it'll turn into a decade of championships again? Do you really think, Yankee fans, do you really think you're that close? I mean, so far, I think any team out there can make an argument for themselves, or at least 10 teams can make an argument for themselves that this could be their year. Could be. But, there's no assurance that this will be a winning season for the Yankees. And I'm not so sure if they shouldn't be sellers at the trade deadline. Try and bring back some young talent and redo it all. Because right now it seems like it's the same thing every year. All coming out of spring training, we're one of the top teams in baseball. And then by June and July, you start seeing the wheels come off. So this is Joe Ryan. I'm going to let you go back to your Mondays nights. I'll be back on tomorrow night. I'm going to get into a little bit about the Mets and what I think the Mets should be doing in the second half. If you have any comments, please feel free to comment. Put a like or don't like on it. Hopefully you like it. And hopefully you get some comments in here so I'll have some things to say back to you. This is Joe Ryan, July 7th. See you tomorrow on the 8th.